What up, Hyperchange? Welcome to another episode. Today we're talking about Tesla's battery manufacturing facility in Nevada, the Gigafactory 1. I just got back from a trip from Reno, Nevada, or Sparks, Nevada, where the Gigafactory is located. Had the unbelievable privilege of getting a 3-hour tour of the Gigafactory with Martin of Tesla's Investor Relations. So shout out to Martin. Thank you so much. So in this video, I want to explain to you everything I learned about the Gigafactory, my whole thoughts on what Tesla is working on, because I think there's so much cool stuff and to share with you. So let's jump right into it. So what is the Gigafactory? So located just about 20 or 30 minute drive from the city of Reno in actually the town called Sparks, Nevada, is the Tesla Gigafactory. This is a battery manufacturing facility. Tesla began construction of the facility in 2014. Now, as of today, it's about 5.3 million square feet in operation. That's the equivalent of 33 football fields, and it's only 1/3 built. So it's planning to get much bigger from here. According to Tesla, the factory has a capacity of today right around 28 gigawatt hours of output, scaling to about 35 gigawatt hours of output by the end of this year, which is enough battery cell or battery pack capacity to supply 500,000 of either the Model 3 or the Model Y. But before we get into exactly what Tesla's building at the Gigafactory, I think it's important to take a step back and figure out why they needed to build the Gigafactory. Because Tesla is actually pioneering a very different electric vehicle technology than has ever been done before, and is bringing to market and commercializing it in an entirely new way. The way this started was in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a massive wave of consumer electronics, laptops, PCs, smartphones, cell phones. This gave rise to a massive investment and sort of the expertise ramping and building lithium-ion batteries for these small electronics. As that technology got better and better, cue in JB Straubel and Elon Musk, JB Straubel, the former CTO of Tesla, and they had this idea that, wait, these lithium-ion cells are now efficient enough to where if we strung a bunch of them together, put them in a battery pack, we could actually power a car. And so this was the revolutionary idea that everyone thought Tesla was crazy for going after, essentially commercializing lithium-ion cells for electric vehicle production. This is on a bigger scale than had ever been done before. Because think about it, sure, there's a billion laptops and smartphones going around, but how much batteries do you need relative to actually building a full Model 3 with that huge battery pack? That's where Tesla ran into some troubles and decided to build the Gigafactory. After the success of the Model S in 2012, 2013, and 2014, Tesla realized that for their Model 3, their mass market car, which they were intending to sell hundreds of thousands of units per year, which sounded crazy back in the day, they were going to need to have basically more batteries than the entire world was producing today. So they're like, okay, how are we going to do this? The world's literally not building enough batteries of the type we want to build our Model 3. We're going to have to build the batteries for themselves. So they called up Panasonic, who had previously been supplying the 18650 cells for the Model S and X, which I think they're building in Japan, and they said, hey, we're going to build this massive new battery factory for all our cheaper cars in Nevada. We need your help to build the cells. That takes us to today and what is actually happening at the Gigafactory. So the Gigafactory is not actually a joint venture or anything between Tesla and Panasonic. It is Tesla's factory that they own outright, and they lease a portion of the space to Panasonic for cell production. Currently, about 2/3 of the square footage of the Gigafactory operation are run by Panasonic. And actually, part of the tour I got on was with Panasonic, so that was really cool. So shout out to Panasonic too. What Panasonic is doing there is building those commoditized lithium-ion cells. The 2170 cell, you've probably seen a picture of them. I'll put it up on the screen right now. It literally looks like basically a bigger AA battery. And it's almost exactly what it is. It's a lithium-ion battery. And Panasonic basically brought in all this equipment, invested about $1.5 billion into the Gigafactory to bring on all this equipment on the part of the factory they were leasing from Tesla, and building the production facility to build these lithium-ion cells. So now you have Panasonic, one of the leading battery companies in the world, pumping out millions and millions of these little cells, and that's the factory that they own. You can think of that as Panasonic's part of the project. Raw materials in, little battery cells out. Now, to be frank, that part of the process is fairly commoditized. Yes, Panasonic is doing it and coming in, but that 2170 cell is a product that I think a lot of other battery makers could make, and that's why you're seeing Tesla, for instance, in China. The rumors are they're going to go with LG for their cell supplier there of the same 2170 battery cells. So then, you get these huge pallets of, literally millions of these little batteries are going from Panasonic's part of the factory to Tesla's. And I'm going to play this footage if I can find it right now. These like autonomous robots that I saw when I was walking in between. I was like, oh my God, is that thing driving itself? And they're like, yep, that's what's moving the batteries in between the Gigafactory, in between the two parts of the Gigafactory. So literally, you have these autonomous drones all day that are sort of like buses just filled with batteries, moving them to Tesla's side of the production facility. So now you have Tesla coming in saying, okay, we have all these little batteries, and 4,000 of those are what goes into a battery pack for a Model 3. So you need to figure out how to arrange 4,000 of these and connect them all and do it in a safe way and an efficient way and control them all with a single battery management system, hook them up to the powertrain, and then get this skateboard and send it off to Fremont, California to put in cars. So this is what has never been done before. This is why Tesla had to build Gigafactory. This is why the technology they're building is so important, because now we have a new paradigm of battery technology which requires assembling these cells, and that is a very difficult skill set, manufacturing skill set, that had never been done before because nobody had built that level of electric vehicles. So when you talk about, Tesla's struggles with their production ramp, if you actually look into that, Tesla's ramp production of the Model 3 from 0 units to almost 200,000, 300,000 unit year run rate in about 2 years. That's an unbelievably fast manufacturing ramp, and it's a manufacturing ramp that will not be able to be replicated by any other competing EV maker for a long time to come unless they invest in this battery manufacturing capacity. That's all the struggles that all of these other electric vehicle companies are going to get to, is where do we get these battery packs, who's building them, who knows how to build them. That's exactly the technology Tesla's been perfecting at the Gigafactory for years. So what happens when these little cells come in is they arrange them into one little line first, and then you have basically this sort of like white or grayish cloth piece that goes in between this row of cells that gets then linked with another row of cells, and then another row, another row, another row, and you basically have all these batteries. And to give you guys I'm totally simplifying this, but to give you guys a microcosm of the automation and the process innovation going on at the Gigafactory, which is I was blown away by, there's something called the Zone 2 Squish. So if you remember, Tesla acquired a German engineering company called Groman Engineering, which is actually a robotics process system integrator, kind of. Basically, they figure out ways on the production line that are being manually done, and they're like, how could we take a robotic approach to automate this process? And so a huge piece of automating the Gigafactory technology process was starting to, I think they call them bandoliers, of putting these two little battery things together. And you have to imagine, you have to do this perfectly, because if you don't connect a cell properly, or don't, every little cell is accumulating part of the pack. So if one of them isn't connected correctly, then you could already have pack degradation. It won't hit the standard range. So everything needs to be perfect. And so this is a manual process. They have 3 basically lines that are building these battery packs at the Gigafactory. The first 2, this is a manual process. And in the third one, Groman Engineering has developed a machine that perfectly puts all of these bandoliers of batteries together. This is something that Martin was telling me took 5 months. Jerome Guillen was there. This was a huge effort from the Tesla team. This is one of the constraints of the battery production line, was the Zone 2 Squish. How do we automate this? And they finally did it with Groman Engineering. I literally saw the production line where it was being done manually, saw the Groman Engineering line where it's being done perfectly by the robot. I mean, it's incredible to see the pace of innovation going on at Tesla, how they just do not give up. They're automating that process. And remember, what's so fascinating to me is that the Zone 2 Squish, I think it's like the best analogy for this whole video, is that that piece of technology is so dope and Tesla's nailed it down, but they haven't actually, they've only built one production line with that. So when you think about the next factory they're building in China, all of these new production technologies are going to be able to be utilized in this new line, and we haven't seen the full financial value from these innovations for Tesla to hit yet, but they're already there and they're already working. So at its core, what you have in the Tesla Gigafactory is raw materials coming in, Panasonic turning those into these little battery cells, handing them off to Tesla in a robot, and then Tesla turns all these little battery cells, rows and rows and rows, into 4 modules, combines these 4 modules, those 4 modules link together, make a massive battery pack. Then the other part of the Gigafactory that is actually extremely automated as well is the powertrain and drivetrain assembly. So this is a lot of the secret sauce. When I talk about Matty Mogul's efficiency chart, the edge that Tesla has in terms of battery and drivetrain technology, a lot of that is in combination of the drivetrain, the battery pack, and the battery management software, and the chip that runs all of that. So for instance, there's a massive motherboard that's called in the penthouse of this. It's like a huge computer chip that Tesla installs at the top of the battery pack that is controlling everything. Because think about it, what's very complex about having 4,000 little cylinders, and the reason why a lot of people were too afraid to do this, you have to manage so many little batteries. There's so much that could go wrong. The battery management software is extremely important. Additionally, another step of the process I forgot to mention is that Tesla, first they blast this green foam to isolate every single little cell. I've seen the actual green foam in a cut open battery pack. It looks crazy, so that each cell is isolated. And then they have this crazy little robot go in that looks like it's like placing the Neuralink strands into your brain. It looks like almost the same robot, but it's placing the wiring for those battery packs and basically robotically wiring all of these little batteries together. And so this package of the battery pack, the drivetrain, and that software working together is the magic of Tesla's technology. That's the battery skateboard. That is the industry-leading thing that they're doing. And that is why Nevada is such an important asset, and the Gigafactory is such an important asset for Tesla, because they have developed this technology from scratch. Basically, it was, you know, a pile of mud in the desert. I love saying that, but it was. And now it's this facility that is doing this cutting-edge battery manufacturing technology that every single other car company in the world is going to need to figure out. And Tesla's not only figured it out, but they're rapidly iterating on it and automating it and improving it. And so I was extremely impressed and excited to see that, and just going through thinking like, wow, Tesla's the only company that invested billions up front to be able to get the capacity to build hundreds of thousands of EVs a year. You know, we're talking about Rivian, we're talking about Jaguar, Porsche, all these companies coming in to compete with Tesla. Well, where are they going to build the batteries, and where are they going to get the expertise to build these battery packs? This is a technology that has not existed before, that Tesla pioneered. It's not like these other auto companies have been working on this for years. It's totally new and foreign to them. The 19th century was all about the steam engine. The 20th century was all about the internal combustion engine. Now we have a fundamentally new propulsion technology powering society, and is batteries and the electric drivetrain. And the reason why we have it is because the cost and efficiency of that technology has reached an inflection point where it's better than the internal combustion engine. The reason why we were able to hit that inflection point is because Tesla invested billions of dollars to improve the manufacturing process and the technology of its batteries and drivetrain to drive down the cost and to make it a good enough product where it could actually, you know, beat the internal combustion engine. So now we're kind of past that inflection point. And my point with that analogy is, yes, the Gigafactory right now is building batteries for the Model 3 and soon to be the Model Y, but this is a propulsion technology that is going to need to power everything. Everything around us is powered by propulsion, you know, buses, trains, the Tesla semi-truck, the pickup truck. When you think about airplanes, boats, I mean, all of these things rely on propulsion technology, and I think Tesla has developed this revolutionary, groundbreaking step change in propulsion technology, which is the electric drivetrain and battery system that they have. And even though it's in cars today, I think the potential of this technology is huge. And anyway, it gets me too excited. I don't want to get too much off track, but as a climate activist, I think what gets overlooked is, you know, I love the protests, I love the activism, but what is going to change the world? What is going to move the needle on reducing our reliance on fossil fuels and carbon emissions? It is actually fundamentally improving that battery technology with Wright's Law, some amazing research put out by ARK Invest. The more you produce, essentially economies of scale, you will drive down the cost. Tesla's been the one to do that, and they're going to inflect the entire world's energy and transportation systems to green energy because of what's going on at this Gigafactory, because of the technology they're developing there. This is why renewable energy is cost competitive. I wanted to come back to one layer of innovation beyond the battery pack, which I mentioned briefly, the drivetrain and powertrain system. I think there's a lot of secret sauce going on here. Remember, when Tesla talked about their battery day, it was battery and powertrain investor day. So I think we're going to see a lot more revealed about that in the future, but I thought it was interesting to note that the Model 3 uses a new drivetrain than the Model S or X, which they developed, which is smaller, more compact. Martin was showing it to me. So, you know, every part of this system, because Tesla's vertically integrated, they're constantly reworking, they're constantly iterating, there's constant new versions, and the pace of innovation here cannot be understated. So now moving into the part you guys are all probably waiting for, you know, what happens from here? How does this all unfold? What's going to happen to the Gigafactory next? So step one is the facility is going to ramp to output of 35 gigawatt hours per year, and so that they can supply up to the capacity of 500,000 Model 3s and Model Ys per year. Now, this may leave a lot of you scratching your heads about like, what is next for Tesla? What is the next move here? Because technically they have said this capacity, the Gigafactory could have a capacity of 150 gigawatt hours. You know, basically a quintuple from where it's at today, or where it's planned to be at the end of 2019. So where are we going to do this? And Elon Musk on the conference call has also mentioned that at the Battery Investor Day, they're going to unveil a roadmap to hit a terawatt hour of energy storage or battery production. And that's the type, you know, when I talk about changing the world, getting us off of fossil fuels, we need to massively ramp up the amount of batteries we are pumping out to really move the needle and make a difference here. And so that's the technology that Tesla's going to unveil at its Battery Investor Day. Now the question is, there's been a ton of tension in the news. The Wall Street Journal, Wall Street Journal actually had a really good article about the sort of tensions and with Panasonic and Tesla at the Gigafactory. And I'm a little left scratching my head about it too. I asked some questions, didn't really get much clarity here about what the planned expansion is. They wouldn't tell me. And that's kind of one thing I'm scratching my head of, like the semi-truck is going to need a huge amount of batteries. the beyond Model 3 and Model Y, the pickup truck, like where we, the stationary storage business, like we should be thinking about how to add battery capacity already, especially if we want to go from 35 hours to a terawatt hour. So why are they being so quiet about it? Why is it not just a cookie cutter, let's go with Panasonic and build another 35 gigawatt hours worth of lines just the way we're doing with all that new growing machines? Well, I think there's been some fraying. In this Wall Street Journal article that I was reading, they even say that after Tesla went profitable, Panasonic said for the new lines they actually wanted to raise the prices because Tesla could pay more. They also say in that Panasonic article that Tesla was originally planning, or in this Wall Street Journal article, that Tesla was planning to actually build its own battery cells before even starting the Gigafactory, but then realized that was way too much work. So frankly, what I think is happening is the value that Panasonic is bringing is very, very commoditized. The ability to build these basically standard lithium-ion batteries, and I think Tesla has talked so much about bring its destiny in its own hands. If I had to think about what they're doing at Battery Investor Day, why did they buy Hybar Systems, a Canadian manufacturer of basically how to build lithium-ion cells? Why did they buy Maxwell Technologies, a company that has perfected this process of how to build new lithium-ion cells with the dry battery electrode? Why are they hiring people to do battery cell engineering? Why are they being so quiet about confirming to ramp with Panasonic? And we also have the Jeff Dawn million mile battery, which was done on a pouch style battery that indicated robo-taxis. So my point is there is so much swirling about how Tesla goes from 35 gigawatt hours to a terawatt hour. What is the technology? Are we just going to go all the way to a terawatt hour of production with just more 2170 lithium ion cells? Or is there a entirely new type of battery that Tesla's been working on, that they're developing, that they're going to build themselves? And that's why they've been making these acquisitions. That's why they've been quiet. That's why they're not letting the hood off what is happening until Battery Train and Investor Day, because what they're going to announce at that Investor Day, this is just my kind of theory of putting this all together, is a revolutionary new type of battery technology where they're going to vertically integrate, build the cells themselves, and that is the new type of battery pack that will be used for things like the semi-truck. And so that's kind of my speculation. But on the flip side, I also think it's so fascinating at just the breakneck pace of innovation. That's one thing that I think is the underlying theme of this Tesla Panasonic sort of beef, is that Panasonic's just like, okay, we're going to pump out these 2170 cells. And Tesla's like, great, those were awesome for the Model 3, but we're already thinking about the next type of battery production cell. You guys need to be driving down costs, not raising prices on us. Like, there's just this backwards mentality. And I think, frankly, Tesla's technology is moving way faster than Panasonic. And when I think about Tesla, watching them grow up throughout the years, think about what Fremont is. Like, these Silicon Valley guys decided to buy a car factory and try and build cars. Of course they messed up. Of course there was all these issues, but they figured it out. The 10, a huge improvement over GA3. What they're going to build in China, a huge improvement over the 10. I think this was a company with an amazingly smart of software people, engineers that tried to bite off way more they can chew with vehicle production, learned so much from it, is applying that knowledge, and frankly is now leapfrogging the industry. If this is where the industry was, Tesla starts from zero, they do the Fremont assembly line, they get here, their next generation production line is going to get them here, above the industry, which is staying flat. I think that's exactly the same thing that is happening with the battery technology, and the Gigafactory. It's like, okay, they set this up, now they've got the growing machines doing it. Now when you take speculation about what are they going to do in China, they've said every Gigafactory going forward is going to have battery production too. We've already got rumors that in the Chinese Gigafactory they're building a secondary building. My take on this is the first building is for vehicles. The building number 2 that they're building now is going to be where they're going to be building these battery cells or pumping out the 2170 cells and the battery packs. That wraps up my review or sort of analysis of the Gigafactory tour. Again, huge shout out to Tesla and Martin for making that happen. My goal with this is to just share all the info with you guys, try and be transparent, learn with you guys. So much of this is over my head, frankly, but I'm trying to do my best. So would love to know what you think in the comments below about my theories, about what I saw, about what you think is going on with the Gigafactory. But overall, just to sum it up, extremely impressed with the Gigafactory, lived up to all the hype and more. They're perfecting that battery manufacturing technology that is the puzzle piece towards building a mainstream electric vehicle. I think that is an asset and a technology and a manufacturing expertise that every single other big tech company in the world is going to be starving to acquire. So to see my biggest investment develop that technology, be rapidly iterating on it, and just pumping out some of the most amazing battery packs in the world, going to the most amazing car in the world, the Model 3, I'm seeing how it's happened. seeing Tesla, how they're thinking about improving that process, I mean, it made me more and more excited and bullish on the future of this company. It's just that hustle mentality. I say Tesla's a startup because they're changing so fast. They think like a startup, you know? Okay, how are we going to get batteries for 500,000 cars? There is enough batteries in the world. We're going to build a factory in Nevada. We're going to spend billions up front. We're going to do it, and we're going to build the best batteries in the world. That was insane, and they did it. They have the most efficient cells in the world, those 2170 cells. And what's savage is they're not even stopping there. Before anyone can even catch up to that, I think they're already going to be working on the next thing. The pace of innovation in the battery technology is going to be a huge reason why I think Tesla has a major competitive advantage in the electric vehicle space. You're talking about they can command a huge pricing power. They're producing, you know, the highest efficiency, the longest range batteries for a comparable price to the competition who's buying third-party off-the-shelf batteries that are way worse technology with that third-party markup. I mean, I think this is the Nevada Gigafactory is turning into a key moat for Tesla, and an incredibly brilliant strategic move that they made thinking years out into the future. It was a huge risk that paid off. That's why I think this management team is bold. I love the way Elon Musk thinks and the way they solve problems. That's my Gigafactory rant, wrap up. Whatever you want to call it. I'll see you guys next time. Huge shout out to the Patreon supporters, producers, funding the channel, and you know I'm going to keep scheming on this battery tech. I got a bunch more content on what I think about it coming soon, so subscribe if you haven't already. See you guys next time. Peace.